Well, hell, where was this intensity the rest of the season? Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Final episode, Snowfall, in a very, for me, a very haphazard, uneven season for Snowfall. The final episode called Fault Lines is dropped. This one's a little tricky because as a season finale, I want to talk about this episode in particular, but I also want to talk about the season as a whole, which I know for most, including myself, it has left a little bit to be desired. This particular episode, I think, is really captivating television. They open it up pretty much with our two power couples, Louie and Jerome, and V and Franklin. V and Franklin, they're out. They think everything is peaceful. They're having some mind-numbing unicorn sex where they are talking about their future. And she's like, I had a dream that you walked away. And he's like, so did I. And they're together and they're ready to go live off in marital bliss and happiness. Jerome and Louis are doing the exact same in their hotel where they're just thinking about all the good times and what they can do in the future. Talking about hiring a maid, a white maid. The two power couples are at their highest point. And you know with two power couples at their highest point, one of the two of them, because they are in the exact same trade, have to come down. And that's what happens. Because Franklin quickly learns that the $73 million he has in offshore accounts has all been seized. And he's got nothing. He is broke. Well, we learn not only is he broke, all the stuff that he's put into real estate has depreciated because of the violence and gang wars and all of that stuff. So all of that has come down. Not only is he broke, he's in debt. And that pretty much is the impetus that puts this panic filled episode uh, off to the races. Franklin is just trying to figure out who took his money and how to get it back. And he is willing to burn every bridge he has ever had down to make sure he gets his money back. He immediately lets both, V sees it, so V is aware. And he immediately calls in his mom and they have a discussion. And he's like, I need to go find out what happened to my money. And so he starts making calls and threatening people. He threatens Teddy. He calls Teddy because he knows Teddy's got his money. The CIA is the only person that can actively seize all of that money at one time. So he calls Teddy. Teddy's not responding back because Teddy's already making moves with that money. He's already like he's trying to find that one leg up. He's offering it back to sort of get back in. He's been a hired contractor in the CIA all this time, but this is sort of his way to kind of get back into good graces, which has been his end game the entire time. But he's taking that money. And Franklin is trying to find or grasp at anybody who can assist him and help him getting some of his money back or something back to at least get a face to face with Teddy that he can either have a conversation or he can kill that man. Those are the two things that he wants to do above all other things. And so you get to see Franklin smashing shit, breaking shit. He is in a desperate attempt to get what he feels is owed to him. And he feels, honestly, that Louis is sort of responsible for the reason why he doesn't have it. Because had Louis not gone and made the business move to sort of take in Teddy, he wouldn't have had the impulse to go ahead and say I'm out. He feels that I feel like it's a bit of a stretch. It's him being a bit naive and not understanding how all of this works. But because I think obviously had he thought about it a minute, it would have been better to not have as much of a leg in the game, but still have your $73 million. But he wants complete and total control or nothing. And that has sort of put him in this box where he now has to burn everybody down. While this is going on, the KGB agent, Ruben, is having an interrogation with Avi. He didn't kill him in the last episode. He has taken him hostage and he's basically trying to find that last bit of connection that can help him put forth an effort to kill and remove Teddy off the board. And Avi is playing the game pretty well. And Avi's like, there's no way that I'm putting, as he says, I'm not putting the keys to the nuke weapons in the same spot that I put the nuke weapons. And so that raid that the KGB had on Avi's place didn't turn out as fruitful as he wanted. So he has to get a little bit more information. Avi eventually gives him where Teddy keeps things, and we have a pretty amazing shot. It's probably one of the better shots of this entire season, where we have we saw earlier, and this is why I think they put that episode in there earlier, where we have Teddy and Prisa go to a place. Prisa's sort of just being the watch out, the lookout, while Teddy goes and handles his business. That happens again here. Teddy goes up one stairwell while Ruben is coming down one stairwell, and you're seeing them because he hears him in the house. And it triggers that they sort of have this cat and mouse where they see each other come out. Teddy tries to walkie to her that, yo, somebody was in here, and it sparks that Ruben hears it on the way out, and Ruben sees that she's there. And that's the last that we see of her in this episode, because he captures her and keeps her. What I've said all season is that I think the main impetus of why they were putting Teddy with her so much is that they wanted to give Teddy an Achilles heel. Up until this point, Teddy was kind of roaming around and doing whatever the hell he wanted to without much of a heartbeat or a reason to be into this. And so the plan that he has to take that 73 million and offer it up to this, and there's a catch to do, and all that goes out the window, because he now pulls up and says, hey, we have a problem. And that problem is that he's lost the person that he thought he was going to spend the rest of his life with, and now he's in a bit of an issue. He doesn't know that the KGB's watching him. He doesn't know any of that, but that is where he stands. Teddy's a filthy man, though, because he does sort of leave Gustavo out there on the lurch by himself. When he calls Gustavo to sort of come help him, and when he doesn't, he kind of thinks in his head that, yo, Gustavo's gonna turn on me. She finds a bug that just happens to be found in a vase at the kids' break as they're playing around, horse playing in the house. And that bug, she sort of lets Gustavo know. Uso comes home and they talk about it, they discuss it, they're like, we're gonna get on the run. But when Teddy calls him, he can kind of sense that. And Teddy sets him up, because Uso goes to his storage facility to grab his money, the stuff that he has not in an account. It's the one thing that he, unlike Franklin, who puts his money in accounts that can easily be seized, Uso had it in a storage account, kind of like the guys who keep the money under the mattress. That's sort of what he did. And he went to go pick it all up. He was ready to go off. And then the DEA from previous episodes, seasons who we've seen before, they all come in and arrest Uso. And it's pretty evident that Teddy is the one who kind of like drops that nugget that that's where they should see him. Leon has a bit of an interesting arc and a piece, because he's been talking about this whole episode where he's going to leave. He wants to leave. And so Wanda finally gets her passport, she's ready to go. But while she's off that day trying to get all that done, Leon is kind of telling him, like, hey, yo, I think all y'all need to get out of this business. He's telling his cronies, his henchmen, like, I think you guys need to get, I'm leaving. I think you all should be getting out of this business too. And they're like, why? We made as much, you want me to give up all this money? Like, they're thinking about the now. They're not seeing what's happening in the future. And Leon's kind of like, yo, at the midterms, they're about to pass a bill that if you have a gram of this stuff on you, they can lock you up for life. And they're like, why would they do that? The youngest dude who was doing the music at the beginning, reasons why we found that information out, but he's a smart one. He's like, no, man, they try to lock up all the black folks. Like, all the black men, they're lock them up. And Leon's like, exactly. And he is done. He's walking away like Franklin is, or trying to, but because he keeps his stuff organic, he doesn't have his stuff in bank accounts that are seizable. He does keep his stuff under a mattress. He lives like that, kind of like Uso does. It's easier for him to just walk away. And in doing so, though, the first thing that these people think is not to get out with Leon. They're like, wait, so if you gone, that means I'm in charge. And you kind of just see what the dysfunction of that crew is going to be if Leon's not in charge. And Leon kind of just sadly looks like these ignorant fools are just they're gonna all end up in jail or all end up dead. And you can tell that he's sad about it, but at the same time he has to do what's best for him. So he and Wanda go pack, and that's the last we see of them in this season finale. Obviously, after Ruben gets back with having the upper hand, getting the new files on Teddy, and getting his girl, he goes back and he kills Avi. And so that is the one major death that happens in this episode, is that Avi dies. Um, and it is more so for the fact that, because I think there was some sort of bond being born, kind of created between the two of them. But Ruben's like, I can't trust him. Like he flips so often. He's always looking out for what's best for him. So I gotta take him out. And we get to see him in a pretty gruesome death. He gets shot first in the chest and then in the face, and we get to kind of, there's a shot of us seeing the blood. It looks a little too fake because it's clear that it's somewhat CG, but it's a important thing to see because that is a major character that has been here pretty much since the start that is taken off the board. Unfortunately, that's the only death that happens in this, because as much as people have been talking about, hey, this person's gonna die, this person's gonna die, this season has sort of acted, as I see it now, as one entire setup for this final season that they had. It's clear that they had sort of had an end game, and that this season was a lot more, let me show the Shakespearean separation of families. Like Louie is turning on Franklin, and everybody's sort of being put in their place. And we end this season with a big height moment, a big story moment where everything else is sort of character driven. And then the final season will be sort of that heavy moment where we kind of see all the tragedy stuff happen, because this episode, this season ends with Franklin and Louie now being at complete and total odds. Franklin asks to see Louie. He's like, look, just to help me out, I got a question. And Franklin comes in hot. Franklin comes in and he blames Louie for his seizures. And Louie's like, yeah, I heard about your seizures, and we froze our accounts. Which, when you really think about it, Franklin should have done himself. There's a lot of as smart as Franklin is, he sort of smells himself a little too much, and this is something that he should have seen as well. He trusted Teddy way too much, as something Louie's always been saying, like, why are you trusting that dude? I don't trust him. I'm keeping him at a distance. Franklin was a lot more in with him. And so all the times that Franklin has had to sort of take Teddy out, he hasn't, because he's seen more of a reason to keep him alive. And now the second his $73 million gets taken, he's like, I gotta kill everybody. Teddy gotta die, somebody else gotta die, and including Louie, which just shows you how quick he is to turn and murder his family, but not so much to Teddy. But that's a whole separate thing. But on that rooftop, they're having a combo, and Franklin threatens Louie, and then he pulls a gun on her face, which completely changes the complexity of all of them. He's like, you gonna kill me? He's like, I'm gonna do anything humanly possible to get my money back. Louie was prepped for that, because Bo, her crack-headed cop, or former cop, pulls a gun on Franklin, and he's jammed up. You can see a little bit of fear, but you can also see a little bit of anger, in that she was a step ahead again, and everything that he wants is being taken away, and he feels it's all being taken away by Louie. Bo asks, you want me to end this, mother? And Louie said, no, I'm doing this out of kindness of Jerome, because that's Jerome's nephew. I'm not going to do that. But if I see you again, if I ever see you again, I'm killing you. And they both have that moment, well, I'm going to kill you when I see you first. And so the two families that started off at the top of this, being on cloud nine, are now at a complete and total odds. The whole premise of what this story began with is that Louie and Franklin together are the ones who sort of ventured off into this drug game. Louie has always sort of been that person that Franklin would call on for help and call on for anything, but would keep at arm's length. Like, she doesn't need to be in the rooms where it happens. She doesn't need to be there. She's not of that. Where she's come from, this girl from Louisiana, from the South, who always felt like she was less than and she was being exploited. She's now the power woman, and she's creating her sort of empire, but doing it at the behest, not because she hates or has anything against Franklin, but because she feels it's what's best for her. And this has just put them on opposite ends of the path. That ain't gonna stop Franklin, though. Franklin hires or brings in both the strippers that tried to take out Louie in the first place. So he's already got two people that don't really F with Louie that much anyway. But Black Diamond and Dallas come, and they go on a robbing and killing spree, hitting all the spots that Louie and Jerome have for their drugs and money. They hit one spot, take out 2 guards, seize all the drugs and money that are there, and then they go to another spot, do the same thing, and it is a definite shot across the bow for the two families, the now two warring families, that there's a blood feud now, and all gloves are off. And it's going to be interesting to see where Jerome falls in all of this, because that is still his nephew, but he does still care about his wife now. Like that's his family now. That's why I think the marriage is important, because he does have a tie to her that he does not have to Franklin and to Sissy. They get paged. They start getting paged, and you can see just that the chaos is ensuing. They both know that their stuff's been hidden. Franklin has just kind of declared war on everybody. He's trying to kill Teddy. He's trying to kill them. He's trying to take the money that he feels that he gifted to them. I gave this to you. I'm taking it back. It's mine now. And the biggest thing that he does, which I knew was going to happen, is that he goes into Kane's hospital and he whispers into Kane, like, I'm sad to see that you in this way. Louie did this. And he just walks away. And you can see the anger, the rage that happens in Kane's face, that there's going to be an all-out war that happens on Louie. So it's clear that no matter what Franklin does, he wants both Teddy and Louie and Jerome. More so Louie, not Jerome, but he wants Louie and Teddy removed off the board. And he's going about, he's cashing in all the chips that he has to make this happen, which is, I think, is something that Louie never really considered, is that how many hands that Franklin can come back at him, at how much he knows. As smart as she was to freeze the assets, she wasn't smart enough. Nor did she think, I don't think that Franklin would go through with the fact that she would just start robbing her. But once that gun comes to the back of his head from Bo, all bets are off for him. The final piece of this is that Sissy comes in and says that, Louie and Jerome were paged and said that they got robbed. Franklin pretty much just comes out like, yeah, they were. I did that. I did that shit. And he lets her know, like, hey, I love everything that you've done for me up to this point. You've been amazing. And this isn't on you. You raised me correctly. But the gloves are off. And so if you want to be out, you need to get out, because the person that I'm about to be, what I'm about to do, what I am doing, you're probably not going to want to be a part of this. And there's a moment where Sissy's thinking about it. And this is the Sissy that I expect to see the rest of the season. This wishy-washy, like, should I turn Franklin in, should I not? Didn't really jive with me the whole season. This Sissy, who's like, no, I'm going to do whatever is best for my son. I'm going to do whatever is best to kill Teddy. That is the Sissy that I've always expected to see. And we sort of get that back at the end of this. She straight up says to him, nah, I got something for you. At his moment of being the lowest, without really having, he's got a plan, but he doesn't have a plan to get a hold of Teddy, to find Teddy. Sissy's like, yo, I got a thing. I'm with the KGB. I got an inside person in the KGB. If you want to end Teddy, we can make that happen. And the trigger that goes on from Franklin's brain to be like being sad and like, I don't believe you. Like, wait, what? We got that? Oh, mama, you and we about to go rule the world. And that's how this episode, that's how this season ends, is that Franklin and Sissy now are a power couple with V. V has gone to make a call to her con artist mom to probably try and get some of that money back, because she said every money that's been seized has a way to get back. So I think that con artist mom is going to, we don't know, we don't have an actress, we don't know who it is, but she's going to come be a part of season 6 too, which I still don't quite trust V, and I feel like that con artist mom could be what, while Franklin's doing all of this murder to kill everybody and bring all this stuff back, I feel like she's going to come in and kind of like take that away from him. But that's neither here nor there, because I think he's going to be so concerned with killing Louie and killing Teddy, that it's going to he's not going to be paying attention to the person that's in his bedroom. All of this now says that there's a three-person prong attack on Franklin's side, and then Jerome and Louie are on theirs, and then there's Tay. So there's three factions, with the KGB kind of being on Franklin's side, and that's how the season ends. Intense, a very intense episode that I wish I'd sort of put some of these scenes earlier in the season. It is clear now to me that because this last season is the final season, there's going to be a lot of death in that final season. There's going to be a lot of tragedy. You're going to probably see Sissy versus Jerome. You're going to see Franklin versus Jerome. Sissy and Louie, who never really liked each other to begin with. You doing this to my son. It's going to be a lot of people doing what's best for them, be damned to family. And so I think a lot more weight and a lot more sadness are going to be in that last season, where this season's a little bit lighter. And outside of the Iliad Part 2, where they're on the run, there isn't really anything that has that energy of being like what's happening next. We have a lot of just slow character moments. That LSD episode was just a character moment for Franklin, a character study for Franklin. You get a lot of that in this season, where the second he has all the right intentions. Look, I want to get out. I want to do this. I want to do that. But the second that money, the thing that makes him able to do all of these things, is gone, he reverts right back to being a madman and a crazy man and doing whatever's best for him. And I think that was the point of the season. It's just done in a very herky-jerky way that I did not particularly find. But I am curious that once we get all of season 6 and we kind of to watch them together, maybe it reads a little bit better. But for right now, season 5 still has some questions. I still don't know where the hell Peaches is, and I feel like he was a prominent enough of a character that we should, as an audience, be able to get some type of finality with that. Looks like we're going to be starting to get some more info on V, which is I think another thing that a lot of people wanted, and I think we're going to get that. But I think to spend 9 episodes on character study and not really move the needle at all as far as some of what we have come to expect from Snowfall is why a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth from this season. I am one of them. That said, I do look forward to season 6. We've spent so much time with these characters and this family that I am excited to see if there looks like there is an end game. That with the way that this is written and the way that I kind of see where they were going with season 5, it looks like they do have a plan for an end game, and I think the story can be tightened up and a little bit better, that we can kind of get off to the races in season 6. And so I'm excited to see what we have coming for us in the finale season. It's a lot of violence that's about to take place because Louie not for play. But I think Franklin, it's clear that he no longer cares about family. His family unit has now shrunk, where it used to include Leon and include Louie and Jerome. It now is just V, his baby, and his mama. Anybody who's not on that list, fuck them. What did you guys think about this season finale of Snowfall called Fault Lines? And what did you think about the season as a whole? You can leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and here on YouTube. And you can find that. Right now we're doing like a Marvel pair-ups for the Moon Knight series, where we pair up a mental like duality type of movie with one of the episodes of Moon Knight. And then you can find that here on YouTube as well. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.